Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm going to be doing a dot painting video, and the color theme for this video will be this red-violet color. I really like this color, and so I want this color to be the background color except darker. So I'm going to add some red to it and then a pinch of white, and this will kind of help bring that color out and make it a little bit more vibrant. And once I have that color down, I'm then going to darken it up with a pinch of black. And I really want to take my time when I'm making this color darker because too much black and the color can go pretty bad. So I'm just going to work my way with this black, pinch of it at a time, and when I have the color that I want, I will then paint the background of the canvas that I have. As you guys can see, the color by now is a very deep purple color, almost like a plum, and so I'm going to cover the entire canvas with it, and judging by how it looks when I first apply it, I'm probably going to need about 3 coats. Once your canvas is covered, we're then going to do our guidelines, and for those who watch my videos, you guys have seen me do this before, but for those who are just tuning in, to draw your guidelines, simply just draw an X from all the corners, and then using the center point, then just draw across, and you should have all your guidelines and your center point there. Next, I'm going to do my center dot. Take your time with this part, and if you mess up, don't be afraid to scrap it and try again, because the center dot really does determine how your dot painting is going to look overall. Once we have our center dot down, I will now add my surrounding dots. It's much easier to add dots first to the cross direction, so up, down, left, right, and then simply fill in the spaces that you have left. Once I have those dots down, I'm going to use my dotting tools in the blue color because I don't know its size, and I'm going to use the smallest tool, and I'm just going to add some small dots in between where we have gaps. And by the way, guys, feel free to pause this video at any time. I did try to make this video longer for those who want to follow along, but if it's still too fast, don't be afraid to pause it, and also you can change the settings of this video so that it is slower. I've gone ahead and added some regular purple to my palette, and now I'm going to add a generous amount of white to it, and as you guys can see, it's this pretty lavender color. And moving up on a size on my tools, I am now going to add some dots in the spaces that we have between the smaller dots that we just did. Now, using my blue tool, I am then going to add some small dots between the purple dots we just did. I'm going to add some regular orange to my palette, and I'm going to water it down with a bit of white paint, and afterwards I'm going to move up on my dotting tool, and I'm going to add some dots right over the white dots we just finished. I made a mistake on that second dot here, so what I did was I let it dry for a bit, and then using a pin, I'm just going to slowly scrape it away until everything looks perfect. Going back to my blue dotting tool, I am now going to add a dot between the orange dots that we just finished. I will now go ahead and add some of that red-violet to my palette, and since this paint is very thick, I'm going to add some white paint to it and a generous amount of water to it just so that it's the right consistency, because that is important when you're doing dot paintings. Next, I'm going to add these dots right over the white dots that we just completed. If you're not sure about the paint consistency, my rule of thumb is if the paint moves with the palette as you move the palette to one side, then that's a pretty good consistency right there, but if it moves too much and it's very liquidy, then you have to add more paint to it to thicken it up. If, however, though it does not move, then you need to loosen it up with either white paint or water. So just play around with things and see what works best for you and what provides the best results. Now I'm going to move up on my dotting tools, and using the same paint, I'm going to add some dots between the dots we just finished. And I really didn't have a specific layout for this painting. I just knew that I wanted to use these colors, and for the layout of the dots, I was just putting dots in places that felt like would look best. So I personally feel like when you're doing these kinds of things and you're just starting out, just go with the flow and do what seems fun, and along the way, as you get more experienced, you'll develop an understanding of where dots can go. So just have fun with things. I will now use my pink tool, and I'm going to walk the line around the big dots that we just finished up. And for those who don't know what walking the line is, it's basically when the dots go from big to small, and this is usually achieved by using all the paint in one go, and as you use up all the paint, the dots will generally get smaller. Depending on how big your dots are, you will have to decide how many dots can fit on each side when you're walking the line. For mine, I can fit about 3 on each side. Now I'm going to use my blue dotting tool and dip it into the orange paint, and from there I will add an orange dot in the gaps available, and I will do this all over. Alright, so moving up on my tool size, I am now going to add some bigger dots right over the dots that we just finished, and once I have completed that, I'm going to go back to using my blue dotting tool, which is the smallest tool in my kit right now, and I'm going to add a dot on each side of the big orange dot that we have here. Alright, so I have added some regular yellow to my palette, and since this paint is kind of thick, I am going to add just a dab of white to it to help loosen it up, and using a smaller tool size, I am going to add a yellow dot right over the top purple dot that we have here, and I'm going to be doing this all around, and I really think the yellow kind of helped balance out the orange. And it also helped balance out the white too, because that center dot is pretty bright, but I do plan on toning down that center dot with another color so that things aren't so bright from the center. Moving on to bigger drill bits, I am now going to dip my drill bit into the purple, and I am going to place it right above the yellow dots that we just did. I do want to say though that this purple ended up being changed to a darker purple, and I did this so that the glow effect that I normally do once everything, or once all the base colors are down, when the background is darker, it kind of makes the glow effect that I do later on just stand out more. Moving on to another drill bit size, I am now going to go back to that yellow, and I'm going to put a dot right over the orange dots that we have here, and I'll be doing this around the entire dot painting. Since we did have some space right here, I decided to use my pink tool and add some dots in just to fill in the spaces here. If you guys are following along and you think of something else to do with that space, you can definitely do it, but my goal is to try and fill up as much space as possible, and this just kind of came to thought. I really want that red-violet color to stand out in this painting, so I'm going to go ahead and start bringing this color outwards by adding dots right over the purple dots. The next step after this is pretty straightforward, but I'm going to use my pink tool and I'm going to walk the line on each side of the purple dot, and I can fit about 3 dots, but depending on how big your dot is in the center, you can decide how many dots can fit around on each side. Afterwards, I am then going to add some red-violet dots right over the yellow dots that we have here, but I do end up changing this color to purple because I felt like the purple needed to be a bit more obvious, so be prepared to change this color if you'd like to. Since our center has a lot of white going on, I decided that we had to add more white dots into the dot painting, so I added 3 white dots over the purple dots, the center dot being slightly bigger. I mentioned earlier that I was going to change those light purple dots to be regular purple dots instead, so here I will show myself doing that for only the big dots. As I looked at my dot painting more, I realized that the center didn't have enough yellow, so I decided to change these white dots to yellow dots instead. So it's a really good idea and a good habit to step back from your painting and just to see what colors need to be more obvious and what colors need to be changed. Once I have done that, I am now going to go back to the red-violet, and using a small drill bit tool, I'm going to add some smaller dots right above these dots that we have. If you find that your design isn't particularly even, it's a good habit to just first practice with the drill bit and see if your dots will fit into a particular space. That way you won't have to go through the trouble of having to fix a mistake if it indeed doesn't fit. So get in the habit of using that drill bit alone just to see if your dots will fit there first. And my design is not 100% even or perfect, so some of these spaces are going to be a little bit bigger and a little bit smaller than others, so definitely try to see if this will help make things easier for you. Once I have down those orange dots, I am now going to add a dot right over the white dot that we had done earlier, and I'll be doing this around the entire painting. The middle part of our dot painting needed more white, so I decided to change these 2 dots to white dots instead, and I also decided to change the orange dot right above that to white as well, and this is again just to help balance out the amount of white that we have going on. A cool trick that I learned from my boyfriend's dad, who happens to be a professional artist, is if you're having trouble figuring out what colors need to stand out more or what needs to be changed altogether, is try squinting your eyes, and that'll help you figure out exactly what needs to stand out more or what needs to be changed. And also you can turn your canvas over if that helps, or just even standing back and looking at your painting from a distance will help as well. Now, using a bigger drill bit, I'm going to add some purple dots to the corners of our canvas. Now going back to that red-violet, I'm now going to use a smaller drill bit, and I'm going to add a dot on each side of the purple dots we just finished. Using my pink tool, I'm now going to add some white dots underneath the red-violet dots that we just did, and again, this is just to help balance out the amount of white that we have going on already. Using a smaller drill bit, I am now going to go back to that red-violet color and I'm going to add some smaller dots on each side of the red-violet dots that we have. And then once that is finished, in the corners, I'm going to add a smaller red-violet dot as well. Using the same size drill bit, I'm now going to add a purple dot on top of the purple dot that we have here, and when that is done, I'm going to use my pink tool and I am going to add some smaller dots on each side of the purple dot that we just finished. Alrighty, so now I'm going to work on adding the glow effect that you guys have seen me do before with my dot paintings, and at this point I am going to time-lapse this part, but again, if you guys need to slow down this video or pause this video at any time, you can definitely do that so that you can follow along with it and see my own techniques. But from here, I'm just going to speed up everything and I shall see you guys in a bit. Before I finish this painting, I'm going to cover it with Mod Podge, which I have diluted with a generous amount of water, and after that, we're finished. What do you guys think? If you guys enjoy my content, rate, comment, and subscribe for more. I upload every Friday. Also, if you wish to see bonus content that is not on my YouTube channel, you can find me on Patreon, which I give exclusive videos, discounts on all of my artwork, and progress updates on projects that I have started. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting my channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye!